Welcome to the Billiken Reaction Show. I'm your host, AJ Nance, here at Arch City Sports. The SLU Billikens with a dominant 81-66 victory over a very solid Rhode Island basketball team this afternoon at home, and now improving to 15-12 on the season. We're going to get into everything that happened in this game and what it looks like moving forward these next 2 weeks before March Madness really kicks in, conference tournaments, and everything like that. But before we dive into all of that, make sure to like and subscribe this video if you're watching or listening on YouTube. Follow and rate the podcast if you are on Spotify or Amazon Music. And of course, go follow us on all social media at Arch City Sports on Instagram and on TikTok, especially for daily St. Louis sports content over there. This episode is sponsored by Shoot 360 St. Louis. Shoot 360 St. Louis is a high-tech basketball training facility featuring the same shooting technology utilized by all the NBA teams, combined with excellent coaching. Unlock your game at Shoot 360 St. Louis. Register for a free 1-hour workout by downloading the Shoot 360 mobile app or visit www.shoot360stl.com. An 81-66 victory for this SLU team, which has been a very up-and-down season for the Billikens. Now, like I said, improving to 15-12 on the year, and this was the best team performance I have seen us have all year long. It's very well documented here in St. Louis, the amount of production that the starting lineup has given us this year, obviously with the big three headed monster and Robbie Avila, Isaiah Swope, and Gibson Jimerson. And, of course, Kalu Anya has been a great rebounder and defensively has been really solid for us. But the lack of bench production has been extremely well documented here in St. Louis, and this was the best bench performance I have seen from us this year. Whether it be, Amari McCautry, Dylan Warlick, Max Picard, they all three had a big input on this game, especially Amari McCautry, and we're going to dive into his performance from the freshman in just a second here. But I thought after having a week off and not having any games this last week, limited practices, it seemed like they came out and were absolutely flying from the jump. A 6-0 start. Gibson Jimerson hit a three to start the game. Kobe Johnson hit the next one to go up 6-0. And then we actually got a couple more stops in a row there. Robbie Avila missed a three, and then Isaiah Swope, I believe, missed the next one. It could have easily been a 12-0 lead to start this game for the Billikens. But even though Rhode Island did keep this game relatively close for the majority of it until the about 10-minute mark of the second half, SLU kind of pulled away with it. Rhode Island kept it close, but they never once held a lead in this game, where the Billikens had the lead from the start. From Jimerson's three to the final buzzer, the Billikens were in the lead. And also, at one point, SLU was up by 20 in this one. A game of runs for sure. Like I said, Rhode Island kept this game at times within 5 or 6 points, but just could not get over, that little barrier there, that little roadblock of a 4 or 5 point lead for SLU. And every time Rhode Island had a run, it seemed like we had an answer to it. And I do have to give Coach Schertz and his whole staff, and obviously the players, a lot of credit, because there has been a lot of controversy with this team, a very up and down season. Having this week off, I think, kind of reset their mindset going into this last couple weeks of the season before conference play and, potentially further than conference play if we get there. Kind of resetting the whole thought process going into these last couple weeks. Coming into the season, me personally, I thought this team, defensively, I thought they had some holes, but I thought they had enough offensive production to be a top 25 team in the country, and they have shown to be that at times, but have not put it together. And with all the types of injuries, and whether it be, Kellen Thames getting injured at one point, several points now actually throughout the season, Larry Hughes dropping out of the program, Robbie Avila started the season, not playing against Santa Clara on our first game, so he missed a couple overall. So, I mean, all these injuries and kind of just lack of bench production overall, which the huge emphasis of this episode, with all of that, it's just been a kind of a rough season, to be honest. Sitting at 15-12, we are now, in the top 5 in the A10, and the A10 is not an easy conference this year. It really isn't. A lot of competitive teams in this conference. huge shout out and huge credit goes to that coach Schertz and his staff for how he had his guys, prepare for this one, especially defensively. Active hands from the start. Extremely dominant performance on the glass. Let me pull that up real quick. We out-rebounded Rhode Island 42-29 in this one. Visibly, I could, watch the game and saw that we were really, really doing well on the offensive glass. But now actually looking at the stats, it blows my mind. We had 11 offensive rebounds and Rhode Island had 0. I'm going to repeat that because that is pretty eye-popping. We had 11 offensive rebounds on the afternoon, and we kept Rhode Island from having a single offensive rebound. And they have a couple guys, Rhode Island, that can have, really good rebound numbers. Coming off the bench, I believe it's David Fuchs gets almost 8 rebounds per game. And then their big man, I believe it's Brown. Javante Brown gets 6 rebounds a game. He's a 7-footer, about 260 pounds. And we kept them both off the glass extremely well. Fuchs with 5 rebounds, Brown with 4. And obviously, like I said, no offensive rebounds, so no second chance points for them. Really, really dominant performance on the glass from the Billikens in this one. And it's not from who you think it would be. Usually it would be Kalu Anya, even Robbie, obviously, or honestly, really just those two guys. Kobe Johnson can get in there a little bit, but Robbie with 6 rebounds, Kalu Anya with 4, but his first double-double of his career and a very, a tremendous career here in St. Louis for Gibson Jimerson. This is his first double-double with a 21-point, 11-rebound performance. He shot 14 threes on the afternoon as well. He was letting that thing fly, but an 81-66 victory against a very, very solid Rhode Island team. 17-9 on the year. They have been inconsistent. They haven't won 3 straight games in a couple months, I believe, was what the broadcaster said in this one on the air. But a very impressive win for the Billikens and a much-needed one after a rough last couple weeks with Loyola Chicago and, squeezing by UMass and just games like that. We should be winning pretty easily and losing a couple of those. Winning this one against a good Rhode Island team after having a week off where we can kind of reset our thought process, like I said, going into these last couple weeks of the season. I think this is a great start to hopefully finishing this year off strong and seeing what can happen in conference play, because in March, anything can happen, especially in college basketball. The big three, honestly, 2 of the big 3 were great in this one. Obviously, like I said, Gibson with 21 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists as well for Jimerson. Big Robbie, 22 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 9 for 22 from the field, 3 for 12 from 3. Not his most efficient evening or afternoon, but I will say I was really impressed with Robbie's. Every time Rhode Island had those runs, like I was talking about, Robbie seemed like he was the guy putting an end to it, getting it in the low post, late in the shot clock, and getting down deep into the post and getting an easy layup that way. We weren't, settling a whole lot. Yes, we did shoot 38 threes, Robbie shooting 12 of them, and Jimerson shooting 14 of them. But I didn't think a lot of those threes were very forced, and honestly, I thought we could have probably scored more than what we scored. We did shoot it well, 15 for 38 from 3, 39.5%. So just under 40% from 3, a good spot to be at. But I thought it could have been even higher, to be honest. But like I was saying, I did not think any of these 3-point attempts, for the most part, were ill-advised or forced. And this is where I'm going to go transition straight into the bench production, because 3 guys that are like our main bench players, and they don't even play a whole lot, to be honest, Amari McCutchery, Dylan Warlick, and Max Picard. All 3 of these guys had a 3, and I would say, honestly, it was in relatively pivotal moments. Max Picard only played 7 minutes on the night, but had his one, or I guess he had 2 shot attempts. His 1 attempt from 3 went in late in the shot clock, kind of gave that guy a jab, had a little separation and knocked it down. Dylan Warlick was 2 for 3 from the field, 1 for 1 from 3. These guys don't shoot a lot from the outside. None of these 3 guys do, honestly. Dylan Warlick had it wide open in the corner and knocked it down. And then Amari McCutchery, an all-around tremendous game. 13 points, 2 for 3 from 3, and he's not a tremendous shooter like that. 8 rebounds, 2 assists. I thought this was honestly one of Amari McCutchery's best games of the season. 24 minutes played. He's had inconsistent playing time throughout the entire season, and he kind of hit that freshman wall at some point, a couple weeks ago. And I thought his play kind of slowed down. He's had games where he's really used his athleticism well. And in this one, defensively was extremely active. I thought his passing, he had a couple tremendous passes in this one, which led to 2 assists. But again, getting on the glass with 8 rebounds, scoring with 13 points. Like I said, he's not known to be an outside shooter, but Rhode Island's game plan coming into this one was extremely easy to notice right from the jump. It was try to slow down Isaiah Swope, try to slow down Robbie Avila, obviously try to run Gibson Jimerson off the 3-point line, but give those 3 guys all your attention and literally make anybody else for the Billikens beat you. And what's happened tonight was, yes, Robbie got his, Jimerson got his, Isaiah Swope only 10 shot attempts, 2 for 6 from 3, only 8 points. So I don't believe, he didn't even get to the free throw line a single time. We only shot 7 free throws to their 19, which I'm just now seeing. But the game plan was pretty obvious defensively for Rhode Island going into this one. It was slow down the big 3 as much as possible. Honestly, slow down Swope from getting anything because he's kind of, the guy that runs the show. Try to slow down Robbie as much as possible with the size that they have. And then, of course, run Jimerson off the line and let those guys like Amari McCautry, Dylan Warlick, Max Picard, let those guys shoot Kobe Johnson and have them beat you. And out of those 4 guys that I just mentioned, they went 5 for 6. Is that correct? Yes, 5 for 6 from 3. Not huge volume. I understand that. But overall, and they even have their field goal, the field goals here. Kobe Johnson, 3 for 5. Max Picard, 1 for 2. Dylan Warlick, 2 for 3. And Amari McCautry, 4 for 6. They were put in situations today to thrive. And they, instead of shying away from that moment and giving it back to Isaiah Swope to, go down late into the shot clock and force up a rough shot or have Robbie create everything on his own, Robbie and Isaiah and Jimerson, that's how Jimerson also had 4 assists. Swope had 4 assists, and Robbie had 4 assists. Kobe Johnson had 4 assists. They were if you think you're going to let Dylan Warlick and Amari McCautry and Max Picard, they're wide open, we're going to give it to them. And shout out to those big 3 bench guys today for making it happen. I thought they were a huge, huge part of this victory. Defensively, offensive rebounds as well. Picard had an offensive rebound in this one, I believe. Dylan Warlick with 2 offensive rebounds, Amari McCautry with 1. That's 4 of our 11 offensive rebounds coming from the energy that bench unit provided. And just extremely impressed with this performance overall against, like I said, a really solid Rhode Island team, 17-9, that has several, really dominant players. They even have one of the best scorers in the A10, top 10 in the A10, in Sebastian Thomas, who's getting 18 a game. We held him to 8 points. Shout out Kobe Johnson. Shout out Amari McCautry. Those guys were tremendous defensively. And Kalu Anya only played 17 minutes in this one, 2 points, 4 rebounds. But I think on both ends of the court for SLU, nothing felt rushed. Defensively, I mean, we were extremely active hands. I would love to see how many deflections we had, because it seemed like we were just making it super difficult for Rhode Island, clearing the glass, not giving them second chance opportunities, and then offensively not rushing anything, not forcing up bad shots, letting us get into our actions. There was several times in this one we ran through a couple of those DHO actions where it turns almost into a zoom action. And if Rhode Island blew it up, and Jimerson wasn't there coming off a stagger screen for the catch and shoot, we just kept that ball moving. It wasn't just like catch it, we run through one motion of the action. It's not there. Give it to Isaiah Swope and let him create one-on-one ISO or go into a pick and roll with Robbie. It was just keep that ball moving. It didn't have to be in Robbie's hands or Isaiah's hands the entire time. And that's why you see those assist numbers distributed. We had 20 assists on the evening. 4 going to Robbie, 4 going to Swope, 4 going to Kobe, 4 going to Gibson, a couple for Amari and 1 for Dylan Warlick, and then 1 for Kalu. So just a really great team effort altogether. best team effort of the year, in my opinion, and a really solid win against a very solid team in Rhode Island. Next up, it does not get any easier from here, or from this point. We got Davidson coming up on Tuesday at Davidson, and then we have 3 games left. At home versus Loyola Chicago, I will be live for that one. At Dayton, and then at home versus Duquesne on March 8th to end the season. So 4 games total left, and then we go straight into conference play. The conference standings right now, we are currently tied for 4th with Dayton and St. Joe's. So it's really tight. We would absolutely love to get in the top 4 because you get a bye. You get hopefully some momentum going into this tournament, and some things might be happening. We'll see. We have to keep this type of energy defensively for sure. With the games left in this season, but I'm really high with how we've played today, and in spurts these last couple weeks. I thought we've played really well, but just would love to see that defensive production and bench production these next couple weeks, because those 3 big guys, the big 3 in Swope, Jimerson, and Avila, for the most part, are going to produce every single timeout. Now, Jimerson and Swope, honestly, all 3 of them have had a couple duds this year. Robbie's been the one recently with a couple duds. But overall, those 3 guys will produce for you. We just need that bench production, and today we finally had it. So really good win for the Billikens. And if you guys have not listened to the Blues reaction show, the St. Louis Blues versus the Winnipeg Jets reaction show, make sure to go listen and tune into that one as well. And of course, like I said at the very beginning, subscribe and like this episode if you are on YouTube. Follow and rate the podcast on Spotify or Amazon Music. And of course, go follow on all social media at Arch City Sports on Instagram and on TikTok. And I will see you guys for the next Billiken reaction show on Wednesday morning. But we have our Monday episode here at Arch City Sports, and we have a couple Blues reaction shows before then. So make sure to tune into all of those, like and subscribe. Follow all of our stuff that I'm posting over there on social media, high school basketball scene, as well as all professional sports here in St. Louis. And I will see you guys for the next episode of the SLU reaction show or the Blues reaction show.